Okay, we'll begin again. I have some papers here on the Institute for Creation Research. This thing has gone through all kinds of splits and chasms and one thing and another too. And then it was, I think they took it down to Texas, but they wouldn't grant them accreditation and so on. In 1982, the Institute for Creation Research received accreditation from the Transitional Association for Christian Colleges and Schools. According to Henry Morris, TRACS, that's that Transnational Association and so on, is a product of the Institute for Creation Research. I mean, if you can't get accredited, create your own accreditation society or associate and accredit yourself. Am I going too fast for anyone? On April the 23rd, 2008, Education Board of Academics Excellence and Research Committee unanimously voted against allowing the Institute for Creation Research to issue science degrees. They failed to meet all kinds of parameters. Okay? The Institute for Creation. This is the greatest institution for the young earth, you know. Now, this article is entitled by Brett Vickers, Some Questionable Creationist Credentials. Thomas Barnes. Thomas Barnes, formerly associated with the Institution for Creation Research, is perhaps best known for his arguments on the decay of the Earth magnetic field as proof of that the Earth is young. This is the one that the guys sent me the email. You know, with the physicist said, here are my top things. He said probably, the first one, Dr. Humphrey's theory of this. It isn't even Dr. Humphrey's theories. It's Thomas Barnes' theory. Humphrey's got it from him. Now, Barnes, who is an emeritus professor of physics at the University of Texas, holds a legitimate master's degree in physics from Brown University. However, his Doctor of Science degree is merely honorary. So when he calls himself a doctor, he does not have a legitimate science doctor's degree. He does not. Carl Bogg, the Baptist minister who claims to have a Carl Bogg is the guy on creation in the 20th century on the Trinity Broadcasting Network, which goes around the entire world preaching the heresy of the fundamentalist church. Now, he claims to be an archaeologist with a PhD from the California Graduate School of Theology in Los Angeles. This school is unaccredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. Bogg also claims to have two PhD degrees. Two in education and anthropology from the Pacific College of Graduate Studies in Melbourne, Australia, and the College of Advanced Education in Irving, Texas. According to Glenn Cuban, who has thoroughly researched Bogg's Biloxi man-tracks, claims that his credentials, neither Pacific College nor the College of Advanced Education is accredited or authorized by any regional or national body to grant these degrees. Pacific College is a small regional school run by an Australian creationist, Clifford Wilson, a close associate of Boggs. The College of Advanced Education is a division of the International Baptist College, of which Bogg himself is the president. Bogg's dissertation for his degree from the Pacific College is entitled Academic Justification for Voluntary Inclusion of Scientific Creation in Public Classrooms Curricula Supported by Evidence that Man and Dinosaur Were Contemporary. That's the name of his dissertation. Give me a break. Its contents include descriptions of his field work on the Biloxi River man tracks, speculation about Charles Darwin's religious beliefs and phobias, and odd ramblings about the biblical Adam's mental excellence. We'll come back to Bald a little later. Richard Bliss, formerly a member of the Institute for Creation Research staff, claimed to be a recognized expert in the field of science education. Bliss claimed to earn a Doctor of Education from the University of Sarasota in 1978. A previous version of this article described the university as a diploma mill operating out of a Florida motel. These are all part of the Institute for Creation Research, which became Answers in Genesis, and the greatest names, the greatest scholastic achievement in young earth science. Clifford Burdock. He's not on that picture. Clifford Burdock, a researcher for the Creation Research Society and a member of the Creation Science Research Center. Burdock has displayed a copy of his Ph.D. from the University of Physical Sciences, Phoenix, Arizona, in Carl Bogg's Glen Rose Creation Evidence Museum. According to Ronald Numbers, inquiries revealed that the University of Physical Science is nothing more than a registered trademark. Are you believing this stuff? As described in a mimeograph bulletin, the university is not an educational institution, but a society of individuals who have a common interest in physical science. There is no campus, no professors, no tuition fee, nothing. Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind. Does that ring a bell with anybody? I think I received at least two, maybe three emails from people who said, Ray, you're going to cover Kent Hovind, aren't you? I mean, you're not going to let this conference slip by you without discussing Kent Hovind and all his teachings and everything, because he's called Dr. Dino for dinosaur. And and then he gave me several websites where his teachings are, and on and on and on. And I wrote back and said, "Oh no, I won't skip Kent Hovind, not Dr. Kent Hovind. No, we won't skip. I'll be sure to mention him." I got the feeling that one of the emails was saying, I'd hate to see you make a fool out of yourself, Ray. I'd hate to see you get up there and teach all this stuff and not cover Dr. Kent Hovind, who just totally destroys all these old Earth theories and everything, and evolution and all of that. Totally destroys it all in a masterful way. I hate to see you make a fool out of yourself and not cover him. Yeah, we'll cover him. Okay, Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind is a young earth creationist who gives frequent public lectures on evolution and creation, and he is well known for repeating the claim that the remains of a basking shark found in the Japanese fisherman net off of New Zealand was actually the recently deceased Pliosaurus, a dinosaur, an amphibious dinosaur. Hovind claims to possess a master's degree and a doctorate in education from Patriot University in Colorado. According to Hovind, his 250-page dissertation on the topic of the dangers of teaching evolution in the public school. We'll talk about that 250-page dissertation in a little bit. Formerly affiliated with Hilltop Baptist Church in Colorado Springs, Patriot University is accredited only by the American Accreditation for Theological Institutions, an accreditation mill that will provide you with accreditation for your school or college for $100. Patriot University has moved to Alamosa, Colorado, and continues to offer correspondence courses for $15. The school's catalog contains course descriptions, but no listing of the school's faculty or their credentials. Name It and Frame It, that's a website, lists Patriot University as a degree mill. It's a fraud. Don Patton. Don Patton is a young earth creationist who, along with Carl Bogg, is known is known as a proponent of the claim that human footprints appear alongside dinosaur tracks in the Biloxi riverbed of Glen Rose, Texas. Patton has a Patton has a PhD candidacy in geology from Queensland Christian University in Australia, according to Glenn Cuban. But according to Glenn Cuban, when I asked Patton for clarification on this during his 1989 Bible Science Conference, he stated that he had no degrees. Kelly Seagraves is director and co-founder of Christian Science Research Center. In 1975, Seagraves listed himself as having a master's degree and a doctor's degree in science, and he put that on this institution, Creation Science Institution, whatever letterhead. Seagraves claimed his honorary Doctor of Science from Christian University, but no such university could be located. So first, the degree is not real; it's an honorary. And it comes from a university no one can locate. After having his degree called into question, Seagraves has dropped the Doctor of Science on his letterhead or whatever. And now he lists DRE in its place. A DRE degree is a Doctorate of Religion Education. Of course, has nothing to do with science. Seagraves also claims to have received a master's degree at Sequoia University in 1972. According to Bear's Guide, that's on universities, Sequoia University was issued a permanent injunction in 1984 by a Los Angeles judge in order to cease operation until the school could comply with educational laws. Not regulations as to whether you could be accredited, laws. Harold Slusher. Harold Slusher, formerly Institute for Creation Research, is best known for his critiques of radiometric dating techniques. He also is known for his rather bizarre suggestion that the universe is much smaller than it appears, because its geometry is Riemannian as opposed to Euclidean. Slusher claims to hold an honorary Doctor of Science from Indiana Christian University and a PhD in geophysics from Columbia Pacific University. Robert Schwartewald discovered that Indiana Christian University is a Bible college with only half a man graduate department. As for Columbia Pacific, it exhibits several qualities of a degree mill. An unaccredited Ronald Numbers describes a CPU as, quote, an unaccredited correspondence school that recruited students with the lure of a degree in less than a year. Slusher's dissertation consisted of a manila folder containing copies of 5 mimeographed articles from the Institute for Creation Research, technical monographs, and a copy of the ICR Graduate School catalog, all held together with a rubber band. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Yet people email me, maybe, Ray, maybe this will help you accept the truth. Maybe this will help you accept the truth. Whoops. Okay. Hook me up, Harry. Give me a second or two. Testing. You hear me? You hear me in the back? No? Let me try it again. You hear me in the back? Yeah, that's better. Should we go with this for a little while? Okay. All right. I really should just skip through this stuff, but it's so incredible. I just can't. I gotta lay it on you. Now, okay, Carl Bogg, we talked about him and we showed, his degrees. But he gets a little more involved. This guy, when you only accept one degree, says, well, I got a master's degree over here, I got a doctorate over here. This is a guy that comes on television, TBN, Creation in the 20th Century. Probably most of you, who've seen Dr. Bogg on Creation in the 20th Century TBN? Okay, this is the man. Texas TrackMan enthusiast Carl Bogg claims to have degrees in theology as well as advanced degrees in science. Bogg's TrackMan claims that he has been evaluated and refuted on the basis. Bogg's TrackMan claims have been evaluated and refuted on the basis of physical evidence alone. Although the questions have been raised before about Bogg's science degrees, the theology degree most frequently claimed by Bogg is the Doctor of Philosophy and Theology from the California Graduate School of Theology. Bogg described this as an earned degree, not an honorary, phony or something else, not a degree mill, earned degree. Implying normal coursework, and graduation. However, attempts to verify the degree by CGST has been unsuccessful. A former close associate of Bogg stated that the degree was not real, but honorary. In any case, the school is not accredited and not even listed at a standard college and graduate school dictionaries. 1986, Bogg did not mention the degree from the CGST, but did list his 1959 Bachelor of Arts from Burton College and 1983 Master of Arts from Luther Rice in conjunction with the Pacific College of Graduate Studies. I have not been able to verify the existence of Burton College. Luther Rice is an unaccredited seminary in Jacksonville, Florida. A representative from Luther Rice indicated that Boggs graduated with an MA in Biblical Archaeology through an Australian extension. Bogg gave the location of the College of Advanced Education as Irving, Texas. However, the Chamber of Commerce and Department of Taxation and the phone directory in Irving have no record of the school. When pressed by an assistant for the address, Bogg gave it as 2355 West Pioneer in Irving, located next to Sherwood Baptist Church, whose pastor is Dr. John Davis. Ron indicated CAE is a missionary school with no science classes or facilities. Reverend, this is the guy on international television, TBM, day after day, week after week, year after year, representing this nonsense to the world. Reverend Davis explained that Boggs' anthropology degree was granted through CAE under the auspices of Clifford Wilson in Australia. A copy of Bogg's diploma furnished by Bogg indicates that CAE is the graduate division of International Baptist College. These things just go on and on and on. Well, where is the actual school? Well, there aren't any. However, the school is not accredited nor certified to grant degrees in any subject. When I called IBC in 1986, the man answering the phone stated that IBC is a correspondence school for Bible studies based on cassette tapes by Jerry Falwell. You can't make this stuff up. Further, the letterhead of IBC listed Bogg himself as the president. This is just a sham. This is just a total sham. Thus, it appears that Bogg essentially granted himself a science degree from a branch of his own unaccredited Bible school. Pacific College Incorporated, a.k.a. Pacific College of Graduate Studies, Pacific International University, from which Bogg claims to have a master's degree in archaeology, traces to a small private religious school in Australia whose president, again, is this Clifford Wilson guy. PCI is not accredited or authorized to grant degrees. Any degree from the college is illegal in Australia and fraudulent in the United States. A recent booklet by Bogg states that Bogg received a Ph.D. in anthropology from the College of Advanced Education in conjunction with the Pacific International University. Thus, all of Bogg's alleged science degrees seem to stem circuitously back to Bogg himself and his partner Wilson through their own unaccredited religious school. Last, there is no evidence that Bogg has even any undergraduate study in any field of science. He parades those doctorate degrees with such pride. Okay, these are kind of unrelated things, but I found them, and so I'm going to comment on them. The Tulsa Zoo and their evolution exhibit. Tulsa architect Dan Hicks, supported by a petition signed by 2,000 area residents, plus a scientifically conducted poll showing that 2/3 of the city's population believed the zoo should not promote evolution, was able recently to persuade. I think this was put in the Answers in Genesis or a couple of their publications or something. It said it was able recently to persuade the city officials to remove exhibits depicting horse evolution and human evolution from displays at the zoo. Hicks and his co-workers accredit the influence of the Institute for Creation Research Materials with displaying a significant part in this action, and also just suggested the citizens and other communities should undertake similar projects. So, somebody decided to check that out. And they contacted Institute for Creation Research, inquiring about the scientific poll that was conducted, where all these people, concluded they didn't want this in their town, and so on. They never received an answer. A letter was there was no scientifically conducted poll done by the Institute for Creation Research or anybody else. The zoo did not remove any exhibits depicting horse and human evolution. But they printed it in their publication, Answers in Genesis. One would think that ICR would have learned a lesson from this lie that was exposed. Alas, they have not. In December 2003 issue of Acts and Facts, we find, this is a quotation in their publication, a unique opportunity. Grand Canyon National Park invited Dr. Steve Austin, Institute for Creation Research geologist, to speak to the rangers about his discovery of an extraordinary fossil deposit within the Grand Canyon. The talk to these rangers says, Dr. Austin illustrated the mass kill and burial bed containing billions of small nautiloids fossils within the Redwall limestone. Discussion followed about how limestone strata could be deposited in minutes. The rangers, and that thing is like, I don't know what, these feet, 100 feet thick, deposited in minutes. The rangers expressed interest in improving geological lectures to the public and changing signs which consider only uniform sedimentary process operating over millions of years, and wanted to explore other creation thinking on the Grand Canyon. That's what they reported in their publication. Okay? Dr. Austin, their man of faith and power, their man was invited to give this, and they were very interested. They want to hear more, and they may even start changing the signs at the Grand Canyon. Okay? Since this spiel sounded so similar to the early Tulsa Zoo lie, I had my suspicions that ICR was fabricating yet again. A quick email to the National Park Service Grand Canyon office confirmed that my suspicions were indeed correct. The Park Service responded. Are you ready for this? Now, you read that little glowing report there, how he talked to all these rangers, and they were so interested, and they're going to even change some of the signs and some of the explanations of what people are seeing there in the Grand Canyon and so on. This is from the Park Service, Grand Canyon Park Service. Hello, Lenny. Thank you very much for bringing your information of Steve Austin to our attention. Steve Austin is one of the 100 or so research permit holders in our park. All permit holders are obligated under the permit requirement to submit articles or presentations to the park for the purpose of educating interested park staff on the nature of their research. Steve came to present his research under the guidance of discussion, only his study methods and results, the same constraints for all research presenters. And that is exactly what he did without one reference to Noah, Noah's flood, or any other creation idea. During the public question and answer period, he was scrutinized and questioned very rigorously by a few of the park interpretive rangers. No one at any time expressed interest in changing our interpretation signs or to include creationistic views. I am sorry to learn that Steve Austin is not being truthful about the circumstances of his research presentation. Our policy is to allow all researchers an opportunity to present their data in a public forum at the park. However, if researchers abuse this privilege by false proclamations to further their own agenda, we will have to take this into consideration when selecting speakers in the future. Sincerely, Emma P. Benedict, Ph.D., ecologist, research coordinator, Grand Canyon National Park. The top echelon in the world. I don't know how to slip in here, but it's here. I'll go into it. This is Greg Neiman. He's the one who has Answers in Creation, not Answers in General. This is an excellent site. I mean, just great material. This is just a little blurb on Morris, John Morris here, and the building of I get the two Morrises, one of the Morrises on the Museum for Creation Research. So it's all part of the same group of people. So Greg Norman is commenting here. He took a look at, they have this thing, a walk through the Answers in Genesis website. They have a walkthrough that you can look at from the museum. The first 2 points of the walkthrough are the entrance. Point 3 is where the young earth deception begins, and they start out with an obvious one. This is the Grand Canyon wall. They portray a section of rock from the Grand Canyon, but it includes dinosaur skeletons embedded in the wall. The horizontal layers of the Grand Canyon are dated by geologists to be 546 million years old at the bottom, the Tapete sandstone, and 250 million years old at the top, the Kabob limestone. This means the youngest rocks at the canyon are Precambrian. The dinosaurs did not live until the Jurassic period, which began at the end of the Permian. The first dinosaurs appear about 230 million years ago. In fact, if you proceed up the geologic rock column in the western United States, you would not find any dinosaur fossils until you reach the Cayenda Formation, which is another 3,000 feet above the top rim of the Grand Canyon. You've got to go 3,000 feet higher, where at the Grand Canyon there is nothing 3,000 feet higher. It starts with the Kabob Limestone Formation. And you've got to go 3,000 feet higher. I mean, you've got to come forward in time a lot further before you find any dinosaur fossils. This formation contains only trace fossils of dinosaur footprints, okay, but no actual dinosaur bones. And that's going even much further. Answers in Genesis would have its museum visitors believe that dinosaurs were in the Grand Canyon, or in the Grand Canyon rocks, which in fact they are much further up the geological column. Answers in Genesis considers the rocks of the canyon to be deposited by Noah's flood. However, there are absolutely no dinosaurs or mammals in these rocks. If the young Earth story is true, all animals, including dinosaurs and mammals, would be found buried in these rocks. They are not. They don't find any. So when they fabricate their museum, they put up a wall representing the rocks of the Grand Canyon, and they embed dinosaur bones in there, when they know no human being has ever found a dinosaur bone or a mammal bone in any of the Grand Canyon. The museum is a fraud. $27 million worth of fraud. Humphreys. These are just little excerpts on one or two of their theories. We're going to get into a little more of it later. Cosmological model. Humphrey's book called Starlight in Time presents a controversial cosmological model of the Earth is only several thousand years old, and so on. This model is based on Einstein's theory of general relativity, and so on. Humphrey's conclusion is not in scientific consensus because the conclusions contradict most current scientific understanding. Humphrey's claim there is not enough sodium in the sea for several billions of years for the Earth. Conversely, Thomas notes that Humphrey finds estimates of ocean salt accumulation and deposition that provide him the data that set up the upper limits of 62 million years. But as Humphrey says, it can't be more than 62 million years old. Excuse me, I thought you said the Earth was 6,000. But 62 million doesn't help you out a whole lot, does it? Okay, let's see. But most modern geologists do not use erratic processes like these for clocks. It's like, this is good, I love this stuff, because this is the way my mind can understand things. It's like someone noticing, in other words, they say when you consider all the sodium going into the ocean over billions of years, it ought to have thousands of times more sodium, more salt in the ocean than it has, you see? He says, but modern geologists do not use erratic processes like this for clocks. It's like someone notices that A, it's snowing an inch per hour. B, the snow outside is 4 feet deep. Then concluding that C, the Earth is only 48 hours old. Or 2 days in age. Snowfall is erratic. Some snow, falls fast, some slow, some melts, Some places it snows a lot, some places it doesn't snow at all. Likewise, Kevin Hincke explained he has criticized and documented some of the numerous problems in Dr. Humphrey's work. For example, Humphrey thinks that zircons from the Fenton Hill rock scores contain too much radiohelium. Now we got two of the five that we started out with today, right? Two of them are Humphrey's, and it's a little excerpt on those. Contain too much radiogenetic helium to be billions of years old. Hincke noted that the dating equations in Humphrey's work are based on many false assumptions: isotope diffusion, constant temperatures over time, etc. And the vast majority of Humphrey's critical values used in these dating of these equations is missing, poorly defined, or improperly measured, or inaccurate. I mean, when real scientists look at these men's work, this is a farce. You wouldn't get a C in a high school report on something like that. And yet they got the whole world believing that they have proven The Earth is 6,000 years ago, and it was a global flood, and it was made in 6 days. Okay, I'm going to move on to something else. Okay, who's next? We're going to have to zip through this. Kent Hovind. Dissertation by Kent Hovind. Oh, the microphone, yes. Yes. Kent Hovind. Dissertation of Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind did this dissertation. He says he did this dissertation to get a doctor's degree. Of course, he gives the title of his dissertation one thing, and then when he tells people what his doctor's degree is, totally different subject. Totally different subject. Starts out, they questioned him. They said, "Where did I get a copy of your?" He said, "I'll give you a copy when the revised edition when I get it finished." This guy said, "A revised edition? You don't revise. You don't revise. A thesis for a doctor's degree. Either you get a degree on it or you don't, and it gets locked up in the university vault or on microfilm or something, and no one ever changes a comma after that again." I mean, the guy is an oofgay. He said, "When I get the new one revised, it's unbelievable." He said, "My 250-page dissertation dealt with the subject of the effects of teaching evolution on the students in our public school." Okay? But originally, the one that the university, this degree mill has is 100 pages long, not 250. That's a different subject. So he recanted it to Evans and said, "Well, yeah, my dissertation was originally about 100 pages, but I continually added materials that grew to 250 pages over the last 10 years. Can you believe this nonsense? This guy says, "Ray, be sure you cover Hovind. You're going to cover Hovind, aren't you? I hate to see you make a fool out of yourself, because this guy knows his stuff. This guy got it down, baby." The dissertation does not deal with the subject of the effects of teaching evolution to students in our public school. None of the 4 chapters in this paper deal with it. It's not even in one of the subjects mentioned in any of the chapters. By the way, Patriot University is a correspondence course. He said, this is so far below anything that could be called a college. He said, misspelling and everything is rampant. I mean, it's just simple words. I mean, I'm bad at that too, but I shouldn't complain. But the original thesis has no title. I mean, they're going to give it a title, but it didn't have a title, and it has no references or footnotes. At least 2 places on page 65 and 66, the citation simply notes that there is a book title to be added later. This was turned in for a doctor's degree. The single illustration he has is an electromagnetic spectrum, and it's cut out of a science textbook and taped on a piece of paper. And it doesn't fit the page. There are subsequently formatting errors typical of a draft, but not a final version. But, see, Hovind doesn't want to admit that his study was on Christian things, because he's trying to be accepted in the, dare I say, secular world. A thesis is supposed to be a body of original research, that adds to our body of knowledge and all that. He says the first sentence of Hovind's doctorate thesis is the equivalent of, "Greetings. Hello, my name is Barney." Big purple dinosaur. he has a section in there on evolution, how it was started with Satan, and at the time of Adam and Eve, and it's just all such convoluted nonsense. Then he has some funny stuff here showing just how juvenile this thing is. He said, this thing wouldn't even qualify for a high school book report. He claims he got a doctor's degree out of it. One gets a real sense of deja vu when reading this chapter, because large portions of it are the exact verbatim paragraphs from chapter 2. He repeats the whole thing, the same thing over again. And this is only a 100-page dissertation that you're supposed to get a doctor's degree out of. I don't know if Hovind refuses to participate in any long-term exchanges via the internet or other media where these issues can be discussed in depth or where his material is easily refuted and has been refuted. He attributes plate tectonics to evolutionists, never mind the fact that plate tectonics did not come into vogue until about 1960, 100 years after Darwin. Nonsense. I'm afraid Dr. Hovind's PhD is just about as phony as he is. He says his paper has no original thought, has nothing more than a rehash of long discredited theories, a rambling, low-quality book report. To award a PhD for this is a travesty and an insult to anybody who's actually earned such a degree. Dr. Hovind says, I don't care what anybody calls me. You don't have to call me doctor, You can call me, hey, you. He said, yeah, if you look in the Pensacola phone book, you will find the listing Dr. Kent Hovind. And he says, people with real legitimate PhDs never address themselves that way or print that way. Only someone with a giant ego would do that. Where'd my wife go? She's gone. What did she bring?
Keep my eye on it.
Ask yourself whether you would visit a medical doctor, an auto mechanic, a plumber, or an investment counselor with similar dubious credentials. If so, then Hovind is your science guy. Or see him for what he really is, the snake oil salesman peddling salvation and pseudoscience. Is this stuff boring you? No? Okay, what I want to do, I want to demolish these people's credibility. I don't just want to call it into question. I want to demolish it. Because they don't deserve to be listened to. Legal problems. Ken Hovind falsely declared bankruptcy. He falsely accused an official of making a threat against him, filing false complaints, failing to get necessary building repairs, felony assaults and battery, various tax-related charges. He was convicted of federal tax offenses and related charges for which he is currently serving 10 years in federal prison. Ray, you're going to cover Ken Hovind, aren't you? And Mr. Humphreys, 2 of the 5 best arguments for an old young earth there is. His wife was also sentenced to 1 year, although she said she had nothing to do with it. They said court evidence proved otherwise. Anyway, but there's a whole section on all these legal problems and everything. The government has fined him $600,000. He's serving 10 years in prison. He's a fake, a fraud, a liar, cheat, deceiver, a heretic, whatever else. Ken Hovind says, the assumption that the geological column is a base for which to collaborate the carbon-14 dates is not true. The geologic column has absolutely, totally nothing to do with radio-14 carbon dating. Nothing at all. He doesn't know that. Doctorate degree. Dr. Hovind, the entire geologic column is based on the assumption that evolution is true. Has nothing to do with evolution whatsoever. Nothing. Yet this is one of the main people. Well, he's not doing it anymore. He's behind bars. Some of these I have more material on, but I'll cover them now because they're very quick. And it's still in reference to Dr. Hovind. Polystrate fossils, missing layers, layers out of order, misplaced fossils, and layers in reverse order all invalidate the geologic column. That's what Dr. Hovind says. Do you know what polystrate fossils are? There's something that young Earth advocates claim absolutely proves that the Earth is not old. A polystrate fossil is where you will have sediments laid down by water, lines and rows of sediments, maybe 10, 12 feet high, with a tree going right up the middle. See? Wait a minute. If strata was laid down very slowly, how could you have all these layers of strata with the tree growing up through all of these layers? It just lay there limp and solid for millions of years while these layers piled up alongside of it? It's one of those fabricated arguments, where you avoid the whole truth. No geologist claims that every little stratum requires thousands of years to be laid down. They know how these are laid down. That's being done today. And they list several places where rivers periodically overflow the banks. And trees are being slowly buried, off the banks in the woods, are being buried by these mud fills and so on, and debris that comes off of the floodwaters of the river. We can watch it happening before our eyes. No, it doesn't take millions of years, you see. I mean, that sort of thing can be done in a relatively short period of time, as it can be in swamps and bogs and so on. But that doesn't mean all the layers of the Grand Canyon were laid down in 1 year. I mean, that's really nonsense. We'll get into the Grand Canyon a little bit later on. Hovind says it only takes one young Earth proof to decide between old creation and new creation. That's all we need. One proof, and we got it. If there's one thread running through the scientific world, it is the emphasis on the total picture. Great care is taken to survey all the relevant literature and arrive at a balanced judgment of known facts. Scientists are trained to overcome a one-shot cowboy mentality. One thing does not prove everything, unless the one thing proves all of the other proofs to be wrong, you see. In every case, every theory, every idea that was ever presented, that this earth was created 6,000 years ago in 6 days, and there and there never was a universal flood around the whole world. In every case, every one of those things has been looked at and found false in 1, 2, 3, or more ways. All of them. There are no exceptions. There's 50 pages on some more of Kent Hovind's nonsense. I'm going to skip the whole thing. Let's hear it. Maintaining creation integrity. That's break time.